There's someone in already. Hello? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was I've mute on entry, so I had to take you off mute, which is fine.
Okay.
Probably not.
Yeah.
one.
This is Aidan Duffy. I'll just wait 1-2 more minutes until the people I can see on the WebEx have successfully dialed in, and then we'll proceed, okay?
Okay, thank you.
So the purposes of a webinar, if you wouldn't mind staying on mute, and just run the conversation from this side, please. Thanks. So I think we're ready to start.
Yes.
I'm going on mute, please. Okay, let's go. So this presentation is 6 most important functional consultant skills and how to triple your hireability in the next 30 days. My name is Aidan Duffy from iloveoracle.com. I'm today by my co-presenter for the call, John Needham, who I've worked with closely over many years now. I was last night, I think it's 14 years now, John.
It is. Hello, everyone.
So John worked with me before I transferred into the functional consulting area, and he was one of the people who advised me how to break into functional consulting. I was a technical consultant before that, and entered me over many years now, so I figure he's the ideal guy to talk to on the call. In fact, he hired me for my first job as a functional consultant in 2007. We want to present today is a great free webinar on the 6 most important functional consulting skills and how to use them to triple your hireability in the next 30 days. Joe will be talking about these 6 key skills, how we acquired those skills ourselves, more details on how the pros and cons of that way, and how you can get those skills too. Neither of us started life as a functional consultant. Very few people actually do. We both transferred in from technical consulting, in fact. So what functional skills you will need to add to your LinkedIn profile, to get an interview, to talk about at interview stage, and functional consultants actually do day to day, and how to thrive as a functional consultant. So our agenda today is an introduction and my story, where we go through kind of my own story and John's story as well, to just sort of recap on what a functional consultant is. And we've got people on the call who are interested in transferring in from other technologies, so we'll get a definition or two up front. And so talk about functional consulting opportunities, the opportunities that we see in the market, and also the future of functional consulting as well. So then we'll all talk about the 6 key functional skills, the quad, which is a method of mapping your functional skills, taking the skills that you have from other areas and mapping those onto the functional skill set. With a little bit about how to still have a job in the Oracle Cloud. So Oracle ERP Cloud is the successor to Oracle E-Business Suite. And I've been canvassing the opinions of many Oracle consultants that I know, attending various Oracle user groups, and this is what I've come up with about the changes that you need to make a functional consultant to be successful and to thrive when Oracle Cloud takes off. The next thing we'll talk about is what I call the time machine, to forward a little forward into your career and see where it be after 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. And we'll also talk a little bit about next steps and take it from there. This is my story, okay? So I guess, you know, I think I'm a lot like you. I wanted to become a functional consultant. I was working a technical guy on interfaces, customizations. I'm a little bit bored and very frustrated with the technical job that I had. So in that client, I was working with 30 other developers, some independent, some from Oracle, some offshore, and some from a Big Four consultancy, and really it was just a number. The project was being run by the Big Four consultancy. There was no real opportunity to develop skills or to get what was going on in the business. So started to look around at other career options within Oracle business. I was getting to the stage where I had to make a change, otherwise I was just going to go crazy. By the way, I can hear some people joining, so don't worry, we're recording this call, so you'll have the presentation and the recording by tomorrow, okay? So don't worry if you miss something at the start. So back to my story, I started to look around at the other career options within Oracle e-business as we get into the stage where I just had to make a change, otherwise I was going to go crazy. I talked to my technical peers, most of whom were happy enough to stay technical. This is almost 10 years ago now. Although them have changed since due to necessity, since the vast majority of techie consulting are now offshore, okay? So the reasons I wanted to become a functional consultant, whereas from my perspective and compared to the job that I had, they earned more. They were able to talk to the business. They seemed to know more about what was going on in project terms. They had more information about what was happening. Techie, I really felt like I was just a number. I was one of 30 other guys. I didn't have any way of impressing really, or raising my hand or getting noticed. And the functional consultants had a reputation with the business. They had a relationship with the business. The project manager seemed to know each of them and what they could do, and I can say for sure the project manager had no clue what I could do. And attained longer on projects. So technical guys are at risk at the time frame where you're useful is fairly short, and our work seemed more interesting. The problem was I felt like I didn't really have the right experience. And anyway, what experience do you actually need to be a functional consultant? I didn't know what functional consultants did all day or if I could do it. I knew there was some cross-section in skills between technical and functional, but I didn't know exactly what that was and how to over and emphasize where my technical skills would be useful in a functional role. So even though I had 10 years Oracle e-business consulting experience at the time, I was really stuck and my career had stopped being satisfying anymore. I say I desperately needed a change. So I started to look around for a solution, and I figured, okay, how can I make the jump into functional consulting? How can I get where I need to be? So I asked the functional consultants on my client what they do. I looked on consulting. I went to Oracle user groups to see what was happening. Reframing my experience as a hybrid consultant, as a technical functional mix, as an intermediate step. I spoke to agencies, recruitment agents, and they suggested using my current network of functional consultants. I remember a breakthrough conversation with one recruitment agent who suggested that because I had a record of delivering as a technical guide, that he was sure that I would be hired as a functional consultant, and that's kind of the path I went to the end. This time I lost heart several times. I sort of gave up on the idea a few times, at least twice. I wondered, like, why don't I stay what I'm doing? It's okay. And I wondered if I really could make it, and where would I get the answers to the questions. Bit by bit, over a few years, I built a picture of what I needed to become a functional consultant. I collected all the information from my peers and mentors. I did the documentation, the AIM standard documentation, and built up a picture of what functional consultants actually do. I watched and learned from functional consultants on my project and others, and I read all the blogs, articles, and websites on the subject, which I know from talking to some of you guys that you've been doing too. I felt confident enough to make the jump, and I bridged my network of previous consultants to find what opportunities were available. My co-presenter on the call, John, started a consultancy and hired me for a functional consultant job, and I haven't looked back since. So since myself and John started working together, we've been talking many times about my journey, where I came from, and why I made the change. So I knew there'd be more people like me who desperately wanted to become a functional consultant. So we set up this call and a program we'll talk about later to tell the story and give people what they need to start the transformation towards becoming a functional consultant.
That's great, Aidan. Thanks. I'll introduce myself. My name's John Needham, and a bit of my background and where I came from, how I became a consultant. I joined Oracle Consulting in the UK straight from college in 1990. So I'm kind of knocking on the years. While within Oracle, I became a programming team leader on a very large implementation project there. And during that time, I was headhunted by NCR Europe and moved to the south of France with them. That's actually where I got the travel bug, and where I was actually taken under the wing of my mentor, who was a functional consultant, a contractor, very successful, who took ropes and explained to me that you can make a successful career independently without being part of the corporate logjam. So this contract was with a pharma company, and that actually lasted for 5 years. I was extremely lucky, I guess, actually, in that respect. But that was a technical contract. But by left there, I'd made the transition within that client by managing my relationship with the business to a functional technical hybrid. And my next job was overseas as a fully fledged functional consultant, specifically in the invoice to cash sphere. Over Europe, the US, China, for multinationals and national champions. And my role is a finance systems architect and a lead on developing Oracle methods for one of the big consultancies. I had repeat clients over 20 years, and in fact, my current role was gained for me by my very, very first agent from 20 years ago. So it's good to keep in touch with the network of people you meet over the years, because you never know where someone you met on a project previously, or a client, or at a networking event might do as you go forwards in your careers. So now work for major consulting firms like Deloitte, PA, and KPMG. Gaps in their lineup, and they appreciate my flexibility in working with them as well. I've informally mentored friends and colleagues on how to their careers, and I'm hoping to engage with you in the same way.
Okay, so just to say, I know many people have joined in the last 10 minutes, so don't worry, we're recording the audio on the WebEx and we'll be distributing tomorrow, okay?
So first of all, I think the thing is to kind of what is a functional consultant really, and I think the best for us to do this is to look at what Oracle themselves describe the kind of the functional consulting space, and specifically with reference to Oracle Unified Method, which we'll talk a little bit more later on. But Oracle Unified Method is the latest version of their methodology. It replaced the Oracle A method, and it's a very encompassing approach to project implementations. So with the sphere of functional consulting, there really are two key roles that functional consultants play on any kind of Oracle project. These are a business analyst and a systems analyst. A business analyst would be familiar with the business areas that the system covers, terminology and practices that were being implemented. They look at many of the activities that define the scope of the project and the objectives. They engage with the client to understand what the system should do. They often need to be a bit of a detective and cull existing documentation to find out what's already going on in the business. There's also kind of responsible for being the front man for a project actually, and will really lead on the engagement with the client staff, the management and technical support staff of any kind of team. This is reflected in the real skill actually for a business analyst. It's got to have a number of soft skills actually. So they're to be able to run workshops, write well, speak well, be personable and likable, and competent and well understood. Business also, the key they do on a project, I guess, would be develop the objectives of the engagement and the requirements, the business requirements. Business requirements is really key to any project. They gather and translate these business requirements into the functionality and the operating models the implementation will drive. So now a business analyst is a very key role. You need to have strong business acumen and develop a relationship with the client. All systems analyst we mentioned earlier is at the technical end of the consulting continuum. They take on the results of the key requirements and missions, analyze those, and got the use cases of how they imagine what it is that the requirements are saying, and break them down in a way that can be loaded into a system design. Include looking at the functional as the non-functional requirements of the application you're developing. There's really adopted a new approach to define requirements, which is use case modeling. I'll mention that later. The system role acts as a bridge between business requirements that get described in the use case specifications or the analysis specification and the technical definition of the system. So one might say the business analyst face out from the project into the business, and the systems analyst face into the project into the technical teams, which is kind of a good way of looking at it. So if you kind of took a business analyst and a systems analyst and tied them together back to back, that's your functional consultant. They'll be looking out to the business and one looking into the project team. We're going to the continuum later to describe how you can marry existing skills onto being a business analyst or a systems analyst. People just to say is that coming from the technical side of IT would start out, would break into this by being a systems analyst, and then progress into being a business analyst. Whereas a business person or a newly minted accountant would perhaps join a project as a business analyst and then into becoming more technical as a functional consultant into the systems analysis side. And in the middle, become functional consultant.
Okay, so let's move on to the next slide again. So it's really to try to talk about the opportunities available to functional consultants. Okay, so from my point of view, there were better opportunities come to a technical consultant because you're 3 times longer on the project. If a consultant is useful and required over the entire span of a project, whereas a technical consultant is really only definitively required during construction and test. So they could talk to the client directly. It's interesting because you get to know the business and the business people. It's better paid than technical consultants. It's easier to be retained as you're on the project when the next one starts. If you compare the project manager job, I guess it was a more defined job role. And from my point of view, it's less responsibility for the same pay. So then compare other technologies for those of you on the call who are thinking of transferring in from other areas. I mean, recently that Forbes magazine think Oracle would be the #1 cloud vendor by the end of the year. So a couple of years ago, Oracle were kind of lukewarm about the cloud, and they've realized, I guess, the power of the cloud and how many people, how many clients in the market are interested in it. And we'll talk later on in the presentation about how you can tune your functional skills to be most relevant for Oracle Cloud projects. The second opportunity is to work on bigger clients. So with these 6 skill sets, you'll be able to apply for any job or in any company. How about working for Oracle themselves? So, and the next opportunity, I guess, is better projects. So having experience of Oracle Unified Method or an ERP cloud, you really need to pick up the latest projects worldwide. So all positions on good projects look for experience of AIM, which is the predecessor to Oracle Unified Method. And not many projects are using Oracle Unified Method at the moment. So the experience that and what we're about today will put ahead of the majority of the consultants currently in the marketplace. As mentioned before about pay, I think functional consultants are to better paid than technical consultants on the same client, and their longevity in the project means they'll earn more per client compared to technical consultants. In terms of travel for work, when I started, I was a younger man and I was very interested in travel. So really portability of these 6 key skills mean you can put yourself in the client side or commute from home or work remotely. You're onshore. It's practically impossible to outsource or offshore a functional consultant job. So
it's a face-to-face role.
I think we've seen in the last 10 years that DBA and technical roles are mostly already all offshore. Even project management could be done remotely. Opportunity, I think, for those of you who are working, or that the opportunity to migrate to the US or Europe for work. So how about migrating to the US to work onshore direct with clients in a great new city?
Just to reiterate some of those things. So really, in terms of functional consulting, it's the money. Functional consultants are really the highest paid contractor in any project, really. They get paid more than the technical staff. They're more than the even often get paid more than a manager, because their skills are so unique often to the client and sought after, and because, as I described earlier, that the functional consultants on projects are very important because they become the face of the project to the business. Project manager is managing the project with the client management. Project management, often within IT or higher echelons of the functional domain that you're working with. The functional consultant deals with people at all levels in the business, from the invoice entry clerks all the way up to the CFO, quite often. Longevity as well. Functional consultants are at the start of a project, kicking it off, defining the objectives, defining the requirements, and right at the end, doing the hand-holding, the floor walking, when the project's gone live. So we really are engaged on a project or a program throughout its life cycle, which means that you get down some roots with a project, get to know people, and it's a good way of working. Also, the longevity thing is all about turnover and utilisation. If you're on a project for a good chunk of time, you avoid periods in your consulting windows during a year. Often, if you're engaged in a project for a long time, you could take a holiday if you wanted to within a program, within a project, rather than a few days here, a few days there, with the anxiety of looking for your next role. As well is important with functional consulting, because it's very much face-to-face work, and it's an opportunity, especially to the younger people on the call, to world and at the expense of your pin to a certain extent, because a lot of these jobs come with expenses. Facets of being a functional consultant and developing the skills of a business analyst and systems analyst is that you start to absorb a bit of business acumen and recognise that the chance to on-sell some of your expertise in other areas of a business. So you really get to understand the client that you're dealing with, and you recognise other opportunities for yourself or colleague within a project, and be able to branch out there. And also, finally, learning and development. As an FE, functional consultant, you expose lots and lots of different business functions, begin to understand how it all fits together and how it all works, with that interconnected nature of the software that you're implementing, i.e. ERP. So it's quite really achievable to step from one functional area, one functional domain, say like accounts receivable, into accounts payable, or accounts payable into the purchasing domain. Expand your repertoire as well. As you gain the trust of your hiring PM, they'll often ask you to do things that you weren't originally hired for. So it's a real core role within consulting, and it really it's to you to make whatever you can from it. So what we've unified method. The unified method is Oracle's new approach to project implementations. It replaced the old Oracle AIM, which served Oracle projects for many years, and RUM is based on unified process, which is an agile method, and it's vast. It's a very big method. It's all encompassing. It goes all the way from project management, strategy engagement, through to implementations. And it's, to be honest, it can be quite unapproachable. In the full work breakdown structure for the implementing in RUM, there are over 600 different activities and tasks. Difficult to see where you begin, where to start. Like, for example, in RUM implement, there are 5 phases. They're called inception, elaboration, construction, and production. There are 15 process streams within that. So business requirements analysis, configuration, analysis, design, implementation, testing, process management, technical architecture, data acquisition, conversion, etc. I could go on all the way through to operations and support. So yes, very big. It's very big. It's all encompassing. And crucial for us guys as well, being independent, the issues that potentially for us, it's not widely being distributed by Oracle. You have to be an Oracle partner or above to access collateral on because it's so complex. They want to work with partners or their own consulting staff, or can get a copy of RUM as part of their licensing agreement. agreement. The days where you could just go onto any site and download the whole package and teach yourself. Oracle have passed, unfortunately. It's only available to partners. So to kind of help navigate through this is we've looked at OUM through the lens or from the view of a functional consultant, and it down really to its the key essence of what it is that you do on a project. So the functional consultants would be involved in the 6 key skill set areas, which would be objectives, requirements, design, construction, test, and transition. During objectives, you would define the scope, set out business, and system objectives for the project. In requirements, you would facilitate workshops, run interviews, and hold interviews with key stakeholders, have meetings with the management, prepare and schedule workshops, structure them and manage them. You need to record, document, and the process model, so process mapping and process flow programming is an important skill. To develop those kind of work products that are needed. You need to be able to, what are the requirements? As requirements come in, you need to be able to prioritise them and come down and focus on the key project scope, which was defined earlier during the objectives. And Oracle's got a new way of approaching that. It's called the must-go list, which it's an acronym, I think, and it stands for must have, should have, could have, won't have. So all requirements that get developed in a project go through this prioritisation approach, and it's quite a nice way of doing it. In terms of you develop the design, so you produce functional requirements, specifications, and convert those into own design specifications that get handed over into the technical team. So the business analyst has done the objectives and the requirements, and then they pass those on through into the systems and roll into the design, where the technical designs are being produced by the technical team. In construction on a project, and this is what I mean about the longevity thing. One might construction or build is a technical area, but now there are construction activities that go on from the functional scope of a project. So in construction, when all the technical team are writing code or developing interfaces and conversion scripts, the functional team will be supporting the technical team, helping them define the unit test scripts. They'll also be engaged in the documentation phase of the project, developing the user reference manual and the user guides, writing materials for the training, and starting to plan for the training and transition processes. You need to get ready and get the business ready during that phase. The proof that goes into the testing. Testing, key skill, and very saleable on projects because it's such a demanding part of the project where the real focus and the fulcrum of all the efforts that have gone before are put under lens. So you've got a good set of skills in knowing to write test scripts, test scenarios, develop test data against those scenarios that now you know to for an end-to-end test phase. That's real killer skill and very saleable in the market. Similarly as well, often when you're working on a project with a business, user acceptance testing is a way for you to gain trust with your end client in sort of supporting the users doing the testing. Often clients are some of them are naive in their approach to user acceptance testing and don't know how to do it, and they need guidance from people like us, functional consultants, who can help them to scripts and understand what it is that they're testing, and help them to recognise what's a real effect or something that can be worked around. The final set of skills that functional consultant would have would come under the heading of transition. Transition is really moving the system that was in development into production, and it's a testing time for a client. They're to walk off the plank and run their system on their own. So you'll be involved in setting up and configuring the final application platform system environment you're building. You'll be involved in the definition of the cutover strategy and the cutover plan. Planning is a very, very sought after skill, and functional consultants are good at that because they understand how the applications sit together, from the overview of the technicality of the platform, ultimately about what's important for the business in the order that things need to be done for the cutover. And one of the interesting things about being involved in the transition is you're often involved in the kind of final project wrap up and put a list of enhancements that what applied to the new system, because anything that the users wanted at the beginning in the requirements and makes it through into the first release of the production system. Because of that, we talked about a must-go list. So the must-have, should-have, could-have, won't-have. So you're making your next job spec when you're looking at the list of enhancements that you'll do for the system that you've just implemented. So brings it together, I guess, really, that having skills in those 6 key areas really makes you a saleable individual in the market.
Okay, John. So the next thing I guess we'd like to draw attention to is how these 6 skills triple your hireability. Okay, basically they do that in 3 ways. They describe what you need to be hired for a functional consulting role. So this is something that's affecting some of you on the call from talking to you and from the comments on my blog. And was transferred into functional consulting, I knew I didn't have all the skills required to get a functional role, but the biggest question I had was, what will I be doing all day and be able to actually deliver any of these functional tasks? So looking at it, I didn't really have any idea of what was involved in a functional role, but I got the job due to my reputation for delivering good technical work. I use network to get a break in a new area, and this is something I strongly recommend you do, is that maybe you've got some consultants who can provide your breakthrough opportunity. So no core program can provide you commercial experience, but we guarantee you that these are the skills that you need hard for a functional role. So what I suggest is that you review your career so far to find examples of where you use these key skills, add them to your LinkedIn profile. So once engaged, these are the skills that you need to talk about. And on from the call, we'll be providing a detailed white paper which details these 6 key skills, how they fit in terms of an Oracle Unified Method project, and also how you can transfer and emphasize your core skills or existing skills into the functional consultant skills. Okay, so we'll talk a little later about where you're transferring in from about key skills to emphasize. Okay, but the second way we think that they triple your hireability is that you can learn these skills and stay in logic from one end of it to the other. So as I said, when I was hired for my first role, the major component was the delivery of a key interface. There's more really to the role than that, and I wasn't prepared at all. So, I guess I got into a fair bit of trouble really, as I really didn't know what was coming next during each phase of the project. I remember thinking, wouldn't it be great to really understand what was going to happen next? So these are 6 skill sets that are required to stay a project from end to end. So all you need to do is identify the skills that you have right now and ways of acquiring the remainder of the skills, and you're on your way. So the third way that this triples your hireability is that you can shine on the current project when the next one is being planned. So by my project, even though I'd recovered my reputation somewhat and I delivered the technical aspect, the interface, in the end I wasn't renewed. The mistake I made to lack of experience kind of cost me the renewal. And looking back, it also cost me a significant amount of money too. So if you job across from end to end of a project, but especially in test and transition, the chances are you will be retained.
Okay. So again, why is it we pick these 6 key skill areas really? It's about supplying OUM. It's big, and the size and complexity of it. We wanted to create a simple way, or simplified way, as far as we can, of taking your skills and mapping them onto Oracle Unified Method projects. And what Oracle Unified Method, as I alluded to, there's a real momentum building in the marketplace right now. I've seen it over the past 6 to 12 months, how the take-up of Cloud ERP has started to accelerate. Cloud ERP, of course, is based on is the Oracle Fusion product set. What Oracle's done is they moved them into the cloud, so clients access to them there. All projects are being managed using the Oracle Unified Method. They've been written a specific view of the Unified Method that just looks at what you need to do to implement the cloud. It's called the Application Services Implementation Approach, or ASIA. You may come across that if you're being pitched for a cloud project. So Oracle partners are using it, the big consultants are using it, and the not so big consultancies are using it. So we'll take you through some of the key deliverables that a functional consultant would have to generate on our Unified Method project. The issue that you potentially have as an independent is you will have availability to this collateral unless you've worked on a project with someone who has a license for it. It's a licensed product by Oracle, and you need to be an Oracle partner or above to have access to this stuff. What we've done is we've broken it down to these 6 key skills areas, and we'll be talking about those. So if you flip over, so what I want to show you is to bring out what we discussed earlier about what we call the functional quadrant, really, where the key skill areas fit on the continuum between a business analyst and a systems analyst. So you can see a vertical axis there. It describes business at the top, technical bottom, and the horizontal axis shows business analyst on the left, systems analyst on the right. So what we've kind of done there is created a scatter plot of where the business is on the key areas on the project skill sets. So the bottom right, you've got build, and that's in the technical quadrant with very much a systems analyst type role. The design moves up, being closer to working more closely with the business analysis side of things, and heading towards the business half of the plot. Test really sit right slap in the middle between business and technical, analyst and systems analyst. Requirements is very much a business-focused function in the context of what we're doing, and objectives is right at the top of the business analyst business quadrant. Guys are both often described as being a functional consultant, and they can often be the same person, the same on a project. Roles are actually slightly different. What gives us really in being able to break into being a functional consultant, we can build on our current skill sets to enter the functional quadrant from a position of strength. A technical consultant, like Aidan, for example, or myself, would be a strong technical consultant, would have had some kind of hybrid experience of doing some analysis and design work, say in the interfacing area, would develop skills skills analysis and start to specialize in a key functional domain. So I have friends and colleagues who've come from the business side or from an accounting background, for example, in financials, and then from the top left of the quadrant to become a business analyst. At the time, I've developed more technical skills to fully rounded functional consultant. In fact, I even know some business guys who got a passion for coding and have got kind of motored straight through the functional quadrant and into the other side to become coders. Actually, but I think it's possible.
Okay, so next slide is kind of to what I call time machine. The idea is to kind of look into your future as a functional consultant and to see what would your life look like after 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. So the life of a functional consultant, I think, is rewarding and challenging, providing opportunity to travel, to meet great people, and earn a very high salary. So I guess after 1 year, let's say you've been hired as a functional consultant and you've just completed your first project. So your understanding of the entire project life cycle has made a fairly smooth project for you. You concentrated on the core skills that you brought in, and I guess had a look at the other areas and starting to develop those. Plus, it might be saying it's like you know what I'm going to ask before I do. And project management start to hear your name being as one to watch in the team. So, an example, I was talking recently with a guy that I work with, and he sent a mail recently that, prior to this I was working as an end user and now I'm a functional consultant. I'd like to be a lot of thanks, as I remember you're the first person in my career who encouraged me. Say maybe after year 3 you've completed 2 or 3 end-to-end implementations and by now you're a key member of the project team. Several other team members have come and go, but you've been retained all through as you know what to do for all stages of the project. So you're completely comfortable with the role and open to taking on new modules, new opportunities, etc. So, as an example, I was talking with my friend Satish in the US yesterday. He started off working in India, and he actually came from quite a poverty-based background. And through work with me, and he actually made it that hard as a business analyst in the USA. So first he moved to New York, and in fact he's since moved to Las Vegas, and he told me on mail yesterday that he's expecting his first child, and he's looking forward to getting his green card and the future that he's created for himself by developing the skills as a functional consultant. After year 5, you've got many options for your next consulting role, as you've built a really strong reputation within your own client and within the industry. So by this point, you could start looking at the option of becoming independent, and you're working with the best technologies. It's kind of first on the team sheet when a project team is being put together. Skills are developing really rapidly. So I was really contacted by a friend who I work with as well, and he just let me know recently that he's bought a house, so he was able to utilize the extra revenue to meet some of his personal goals. So it's really a great thing for me to hear. So by year 10, then you've industry expert status, and you're a member of the Oracle ACE program. I suggest you have a look up the Oracle ACE program on the website. These guys travel around on behalf of Oracle, and they're independent consultants, and they work and speak at various Oracle user groups across the world. So you have a phenomenal reputation within your industry. You're a thought leader, and you're invited to join user groups to direct the future of Oracle. You're a published author and a speaker, as everyone wants to hear what you got to say. It's asked for you by name to make sure you're working on their project, and you're the most successful person in your group of friends and college buddies. So as an example here, I was talking to Deborah little about the future of Oracle consulting in the ERP cloud, and she's a good example of someone who's around year 10. She's the president of the Oracle user group. She speaks at user groups all over the world, including Oracle Open World in San Francisco. She's a really interesting to follow on Twitter and on her blog, by the way. So the slide then is where we talk about how to still have a job in the Oracle Cloud.
Okay, so Oracle ERP Cloud, real disruptor in the marketplace. The Oracle in the whole ERP market has been fairly stable for about, I guess, the last 20 years. Not much has changed. It's been large implementations on-premise with big project teams implementing a range of modules in the Oracle e-business suite. I've lived through the transition from kind of character-based version of Oracle e-business suite called Oracle Apps, through the GUI versions, through all the way now to release 12. So I've seen a change in the applications. What's happening now, though, is seriously disruptive. It's a complete break with the past in terms of Oracle Fusion and the technology stack. And the even bigger break with it is the idea of being deployed on the cloud. And in fact, Oracle are actually rebranding their Fusion technology stack as ERP Cloud when they deploy. They aren't actually calling it Fusion. The key issue, as I see it, is that technical domain is going to shrink with the Oracle Cloud. Because the client no longer hosts their own application, the opportunity for customization is virtually nil on an Oracle ERP Cloud implementation. You really are buying an appliance, and there's only sense of the word. You don't customize it. It's like having a difference between a OS PC and an iPad. Windows PC, you kind of assemble it the way you want it to be. It's sort of how to maintain it and all the downloads you need to do. Whereas a pad, every so often, Apple will release a version of the software and everybody adopts it. That's what's going to happen with Oracle Cloud ERP. Everyone is on the same version, and as releases come out, everyone upgrades at the same time. And the upgrades are going to be minimally disruptive. Why are they minimally disruptive? Because there's no customization. It's all going to be about configuration and piecing the applications together. So it's even more important, really, for people to manage their careers out of the technical domain and into the functional domain. Take advantage of this new stage in technology. To be ahead of the pack, actually, it's going to be a stampede. All the big consultancy firms have recognised this and are adopting their own approaches to implementing cloud projects. Their pitch is that they're cheaper to implement, quicker to implement, and with a lower cost of ownership. So, so I myself am making that transition from being an ES consultant to being a cloud ERP consultant. It's easy to do it if you're a functional consultant, because the key skills that I have is I understand the business domains that are trying to be implemented. I can, as we described earlier, I can face out to the client and have them adopt the technology rather than adapt the technology to the way they work. So it is absolutely vital that you develop these skills really in the sphere of objectives, requirements, design, test, and transition. Ensure that you've got something to offer an Oracle Cloud project.
Yeah, I guess I've spoken to many consultants on this subject, and several on during the Oracle user group conferences that I've been this year, it's really clear to me that there's a huge change coming for functional consultants and people who want to become functional consultants with the advent of Oracle Cloud. So just take my own example. I crossed over into functional from technical, and the division of tasks in functional meant that I start as a functional consultant by concentrating on my technical skills, primarily working on customization. So in the construction, test and design area, as it's really very straightforward for me to jump the fence from technical to functional in this core area. So I guess my current manager is from the business community originally, and he would have concentrated on the objectives, requirements and test skills and developed the rest as he went along. But in Oracle Cloud, however, the whole picture changes. You have the use of Oracle software. You don't own it. You can't customize it. Even if it's installed on your premises, it doesn't make any difference. You need to use the standard functionality Oracle Cloud provides and zero customization. So there'll be some interface work, but it'll be limited to the minimum I think Oracle are forced to provide. So the day that I transferred in from functional to technical in Oracle Cloud is drastically reduced. That almost that opportunity doesn't exist anymore. So it's really vital that first you're aware of the other skills, the objectives, requirements, design, test, and transition, and that you can develop those skills as fast as possible. Otherwise, you really won't have much to offer in an Oracle Cloud project. Okay, then from a next steps perspective, we're coming to the close of the presentation now. So I appreciate you all staying on and for giving it your attention. So the next steps, I guess, for you guys on the call is to review the presentation, which I'm going to send out and the white paper in the next day or so, and also the recording. I'm sending out a survey, which is basically your opportunity to ask us any questions about the information that you've heard today, the presentation that you've heard today, and questions about your personal opportunity to get into functional consulting. The next thing I think is to really think about where you come from. So John mentioned before about transferring into the right area of the functional consulting skill set based on your current core skills. So if you're a technical guy, you need to focus on the build and construction. If you're a testing guy, you need to focus on that area of functional consulting, and to review your career and figure out what skills you already have that you can emphasize on your LinkedIn profile, when you're going to interviews, when you're discussing with other consultants or with agencies about potential contracts. So I think that goes for existing functional consultants, is to review your own experience really in early detailed fashion versus the 6 key skill sets, to see how many you've got covered right now and how you could get information or to get experience of the other ones. And they'll say if you're transferring in, to review your experience and see where you could map to the 6 key skill sets. So the last concept is one I covered recently. I read it in Harvard Business Review about, and it's called Facility Learners. Basically, what this is to look at experienced guys in the area that you want to be. So experienced functional consultants, and to elevate those while developing your own approach to functional consulting. It occurred to me when I was reading the articles that this is what I've been doing my entire career. Every time when I got onto a project, I looked at the successful consultants that were on, and I tried to emulate to figure out what they were doing. And then after that, I developed my own style that suited my own personality. So when you do a new project, I think you need to watch out for the guys who are going to be there long term and the people who are just passing through. So most clients have a type of consultant that they like effectively. So have a look at your project team, who's been there for multiple projects, who the management asked their opinion, and who in positions of responsibility. So it's very likely that these guys know what the client expects and operate according to these guidelines. So these are the people to follow, to try to emulate until you develop your own style. Okay, just moving on to the last slide. Okay, so following on from this webinar, basically we'd like to announce our functional consultant launch formula program. So what the program will be is a set of dive sessions on the 6 key skill sets. So it'll be based on a real life scenario. And as of each session, we'll be releasing detailed white paper on each 6 key skill set, and also example documents. So let's say in the design phase, there are a number of example documents that Oracle Unified Method requires for delivery, and we'll give you detailed examples of those documents. The second thing that we're going to do is give example process flows. So let's say for the order to cash month-end process flow, we'll give you the entire swim lane, a diagram, and an audio commentary on that. So what to concentrate on and what a functional consultant needs to be able to talk about month-end process. During the calls as well, we're going to have a hot seat basically. So after each call, we'll give a set of example documents from the design phase or the objectives or the requirements. If you just want to take, we'll give some exercises, and if you want to fill in some exercises on an call, we'll go through that, explain what worked in you've written, what didn't work, and why, and sort of give you guidance on what we would do in that case. Okay. So between each call, we'll send a survey basically, and you'll be able to ask your questions about what happened on the previous call, and also your questions about the next phase. So the release date of the program is April 4th, and basically we're putting together right now the details of that call, but we'll be releasing the program on April 4th. So in the meantime, basically, what we're going to do is we're going to send you on the presentation, the paper that gives more detail on the 6 key skill sets. We'll be responding to your questions. I'm going to send out a survey where I just ask for what you'd most like to know about being a functional consultant, and any questions that you have, and we'll respond individually to each question and try to get you guys moving on the journey to become a functional consultant.
Great. Okay, well, I look forward to collaborating all with you all as the program continues.
Okay, so this is Aidan. So I just wanted to say thanks so much for your attention. I know some of you guys have dialed in really early. We've got guys in from the US, from Canada, even more from the West Coast of the US, which is really early, across Europe and also in India. So we really appreciate your attention. So just to recap, we'll close the call now, and we'll respond to any questions that you have by email. So don't be afraid to start asking questions, because we'll create the best program possible, and the only way to do that is to find out exactly what you need to know. So I wish you all the best for the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll be in touch over the next few days.
Okay. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks.